Well, I said a year ago, no more square bodies, but here I am, the third day of the new year, going to look at another old square body. Can't really understand the guy on Marketplace very good, so not really sure if I'm going to get rolled in a back alley or not, but brought my equalizer with me and the family. We're gonna see if we can go look at this thing and decide whether or not to buy it or not. This is the worst thing we found on this thing. We're gonna have to put a new skin on the top of it. Pretty rough. Motor's bad, but we got another motor at the house. What year was that on this top?
79.
So we're on our way home from looking at that square body truck, another 79 four-wheel drive truck. And these guys were awesome, very nice, man. They helped me get it loaded and everything. I bought it with a motor bad in it, which I knew going into it, it was bad. I happened to have a motor sitting in the floor at the shop, and the goal is to get that motor cleaned up, get it set in here. The top of this truck's smashed down pretty bad from a tree limb, so we're gonna have to put a new skin on the top of this truck, so that'll be interesting. Something I've never messed with doing on one of these old trucks, but seems like every day's a learning experience. But this truck doesn't have a lot of rod in it. The cab mounts are all squished down and they're all junk. They need replaced, but I think it'll be a good truck to rebuild. A lot of fun doing it. We probably won't do this one near as quick as I did the last one because I've got tons of other stuff to take care of, but we'll get her done slowly but surely. That's a complete jackknife, 100% L. If it wasn't for that low hitch on my bumper, I would never be able to do that. Just enough room to pivot that ramp over, man. That's lucky. Yeah, it's the old 203. Darn it. I just cranked my jack down a little bit, left it hooked to the truck. Kind of got a downhill angle, blocked that trailer back so it don't kick into the side of my truck with that jackknife like that. And we'll see if it'll just roll down off there. Oh, I think I'm gonna take a couple of these blocks like this. So it won't go any further than this if it got carried away. Something just to shut this thing down if it gets out of hand. Maybe that'll work. So here we are again, 79 3/4 ton four-wheel drive Scottsdale. Just went and picked this thing up this morning. It's got a blown motor in it, and I've got a motor sitting over here that came out of one of my parts trucks that I had before. And that parts truck belonged to a guy that ran race cars and stuff, and he used to pull his race car trailer with the truck that this motor was in. And then he bought a newer pickup to pull his race car trailer with. And he had this old 78 sitting in the barn, and he was doing body and paint work on it, and got ready to go to a race one evening, and his distributor, some of the parts in the bottom of his distributor on his race car were bad, so he throwed the hood open on that old 78 Chevy pickup, and he stripped the parts out of the distributor for it, and then never did get them put back in. So this motor, supposedly with some distributor work and carburetor work and stuff, this motor is going to run and be good. But before I just set it in this truck, we're going to put it on the engine stand here, separate that engine transmission, put it on the stand, and flip this thing over and pull the oil pan off of it, strip all the stuff off the engine and check it out real good. Make sure it's turning over and there's no terrible wear or bearing movement or anything like that. And if that's all checks out, we'll clean this motor up and paint it, and then finish pulling the motor out of this 79 and set it down in there. This cab has had a tree fall on it and mashed that driver's corner down really bad and wrinkled it all the way across the top. So I'm going to wind up eventually pulling this whole cap off of this truck, the skin off of it. And I've never done this repair before, but I've done a lot of quarter panels and stuff like that on cars, and this should be pretty similar to that. So I'll cut this whole top section of this skin off and straighten the inner, because that's a double layered deal. You got the top skin and then you got the inner structure. The structure of it's in pretty good shape, so we'll straighten that, put a new skin on it, and you can see by the body lines on this truck how far off they are. And I was looking at the cab mounts underneath of it, and they're just crushed completely down and split open, pretty much junk. So we'll put new cab mount bushings in it, put that old motor in there once it's cleaned up, and then we'll see where we're at and go from there. But told myself last year I wasn't going to restore anymore, and but this was too good of a deal to pass up. Went and picked it up, and there's a real nice fella had it. He helped me get it loaded on the trailer, him and his cousin. Everything worked out pretty good, so we'll just take it from here and see what we can do with it. Every year these trucks are getting harder and harder to come by, especially the 73 through I think 80. It's got the square front end, you know, if you want four-wheel drive and all that, you know, it's getting few and far between. You can find some two-wheel drive, three-quarter ton truck, long bed truck, stuff like that, but the price just keeps going up on them, and they're pretty popular, so everybody's scarfing them up and restoring them, and you know, some of them doing patina deals like what's been done on this truck and driving them around. And they're just, like I said, they're just getting harder to come by. So whenever I ran across this one, I thought, well, I'll go ahead one more time, because I've built several of them and still don't have one for myself. So maybe this one will be able to stay around. We'll see when it's all finished. And they've already started stripping the motor out of here. Got most all the bolts out and stuff like that. So won't be too much more work in here to be able to pull this engine out, and that'll give me my distributor and a good carburetor and stuff like that for that other motor. So I think between the motor I got and some parts off this motor, I should be able to get it running fairly easy. I mean, like the rockers and floor pans in this truck are pretty solid. I mean, I crawled around underneath of it and poked around on them. There's a few little rust spots, but it's not like just major chop everything out and replace it all. It's all stuff that can be dealt with fairly easy. The biggest problem with this truck as far as body work is this cab, and it's hit pretty good, but the door still fits in the opening, you know, pretty good. It's not lined up right now, but I mean, it's not smashed down where it dented the door or anything. So, you know, it's off, but it's not off so bad I can't straighten that. The skin's the main part of it, and then there'll be some structural stuff right here. But a lot of these 70 models trucks, this hood right here is kinked, you know. They kink right across here. This one here is really straight, and it doesn't have any rust up underneath the edge of it or anything. So this is definitely a usable hood. It's gonna need a lot of cleaning up, but it's straight, no kinks, shuts good. So I'll definitely use this hood. Come around to the front fender, and got some rust in these bottom corners. And you can buy the little piece that's already shaped like this, you know, so you could take this fender and weld on a new piece here if you wanted to. And that may be what I do. I just don't know yet. The inner fenders, they both have rust in the typical spot where they bolt on. So these inner fenders are not too awful expensive. Probably just put new inner fenders on it. And the bumpers got into something that's bent up pretty bad. So I have to change that out. The doors, come over to the door. It's got pretty straight doors on it. And then you can come down here on the bottom of these doors, and generally this little hole that drains the water out, you know, a lot of times that's plugged up and it's corroded up and full, you know, so nothing drains out, and these corners and bottoms are all rotted out. This one's got some dirt up in there I'm knocking out, but there's no rust at all in the bottom of this door. So definitely a good thing there. So we get to keep that door. Rocker panels. Where?
What's the hole in there?
That's also a drain hole here and a drain hole here. They got 3 drain holes. One here, here, here. That's not rust at all. Just some dirt. And rocker panel solid all the way along. The back side of it was solid. There was a little bit of rust in underneath this I could see from the bottom side. So, you know, definitely I don't think I got to cut all the floor pans and rockers out. Cab corners are solid. Doesn't even feel like they've been bondoed up or anything, but once I get into it further, I'll check that out a lot better. But just at a glance, all that looks good. This bed, they pulled this bed off of something else and dusted a little bit of blue paint on it, and then done that patina clear on it or whatever. But bed sides, you know, they're pretty solid. They don't have any rot in them. The inside of this wheel tub on this bed, it's got rot all along the floorboard here, you can see. But these tubs are pretty easy to come up with. I actually had a couple of them a while back, and I wound up getting rid of them. Now I wish I hadn't, but anyway, change those tubs out. But I don't even really see where it's had any body filler or anything put in it. That's the original gold paint, bronzy gold paint that was on the inside of the bed. Tailgate's beat up pretty bad, and once you try to start pulling dents on this ridge, this bends right here, and that makes this tailgate really strong in that area. So pulling dents out of this spot here, that's pretty difficult to do. We might try to do some of that. I don't know yet. We'll see once we get a little deeper into it. But really the tailgate doesn't seem to be rotted out across the bottom or anything. So maybe it is going to be worth trying to put a little bit of heat on here and get that pulled back up straight. One thing about it, once you get this all pulled up straight as you can, they got those little aluminum caps, you know, you can put across the top of there to kind of clean that up a little better if you couldn't get it 100%. But bumper's not too bad, but I'd rather have a chrome bumper. I guess it is tweaked down here. Chrome bumper on it probably. Move around to this bedside, you got a dent in it here, a little dent here, but seems like all metal there. Hey Samuel, where's my magnet at? Where's that magnet you're playing with? It's a pretty strong magnet, but still. I really think it's not just caked full of body filler or nothing. Whoa. Have to do some editing work on that video. But anyway, moving over to the cab corner on the passenger side. Let me see one of them again, buddy. Metal in there. It's not all packed full of mud and fiberglass or anything. And these holes right here in the bottom of this cab corner and across this rocker is where they've had those steps, you know, the aluminum steps that come down and went out like this. It's had some aluminum steps on it at some point. But you can check out that rocker. It's dented up right here a little bit. Pull that down because it doesn't have a back right here. The back starts like right up here. So this, you know, you can pull this down and out, straighten that up. So that rocker's in pretty good shape. Come over to the passenger door here. Got some debris right there in that drain hole. But like, it's not rusted there. It's just a little bit of mud. That door's in good shape. So all in all, as far as rust goes on a 1979, it's holding up pretty good. I'm saying this bed was probably rusted out originally or something, so they put a different one on, but at least they got a pretty good one on there. A couple wheel tubs in it. Interior, I've not found any of these dashes that are original that haven't been cracked up, you know. I guess if somebody really took care of one and had it indoors all the time and didn't have it out in the sun much, maybe you could find a good one, but most of these are all cracked up, but they sell aftermarket replacements. Most of them fit pretty decent, so ain't too worried about that. He's already done the seat reupholster, but we're gonna have to do something about that color. I think it's not gonna quite go with what I want to do. But all the felt and stuff in the doors, all that's junk. It's all gone. I don't even think there's a rubber door gasket in the driver's side at all. But nothing that can't be fixed. Come around here to the passenger side fender. It's actually got less rust than the driver's side. It's got some dent here. But here again on the inner fender, it's completely rusted here and here. So, like I said, on the other side, we were talking about replacing the inner fender. I'll do the same thing over here. They're not too bad. And when I went to look at it, I crawled underneath there and checked the bottom of the radiator support, because they generally rust out along the bottom of the radiator support, especially where the inner fender bolts. And it's in pretty good shape. I don't know if maybe a couple little spots I'd have to weld some new metal on, but other than that, I think the radiator support's usable also. So that's the quick initial rundown on this old truck, and hopefully we'll get some videos made when we rebuild this thing, and if we're lucky, it'll turn out like the other one we done.
I'm starting to like this look. What do you guys think? Complete repaint or keep this patina look?